Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the Spectacular Spider-Man Season 5. If this is your first time watching and you have not caught up on Season 3 and 4, I recommend you go and watch them before you watch this, or else this will make no sense whatsoever. But with that being said, let's get straight into the episode. Episode 2, Sacrifice. We start our episode in the dead of night. It's Central Park and a couple are walking through on a romantic evening. They look at each other and right before they're about to kiss, the man gets tackled to the ground. The woman screams out as a pair of red eyes screech at her from the shadows. The man groans out in pain until it stops. The woman runs out of fear until her screaming stops as well, and they are never to be seen again. We cut to Aunt May downstairs with the television on in the background. She is flicking through papers and papers of bills that have started to rack up. The news coverage comes on for the day, explaining that due to the consistent destruction to the city due to conflicts that Spider-Man has with his enemies around him, has caused a mass inflation within New York City. And the people in all areas are affected by this, as some small businesses are going bust, criminal activity increases, and as people lose their homes as well. It's a crisis, and Spider-Man is at the heart of all of it. Peter comes downstairs just as the coverage ends. Aunt May tries to hide the papers quickly, so Peter doesn't notice. But Peter has seen that look on May's face before, and he knows exactly what it is. He saw Bill's a few nights ago, but it's worse than he initially realizes. Peter says that he has to head off to school, as Aunt May waves him off. We get a narrated section from Peter, as he thinks to himself about the situation. How can he help May? He's already struggling to balance Spider-Man stuff along with having a girlfriend and studying for his finals this year as well. What is he going to do? And now he needs to get a job? But he has to help May no matter what. If Uncle Ben taught him anything, it's that with great power comes great responsibility. And as much as he's been reminded time and time again that that applies to his Spider-Man life, he's also got to think that another great responsibility in Peter's life is Aunt May. No matter what, she has done everything for him. And Peter can't neglect that. Peter will get to school and will meet up with MJ. They get talking and they will catch up. When MJ reveals that her aunt, Anna Watson, hasn't been feeling great lately, Peter asks if she's okay, and MJ says that she thinks so, but she worries about her sometimes. Peter says that he gets what she means. MJ will say that she's not getting any younger, and she knows that one day she'll have to make the hard decision to accept that life sometimes moves on. Anna Watson is the only person that MJ has left, other than Peter. As they get to class, everyone is talking about some mythical creature that has been rumoured to be wandering around New York City. Peter catches wind of this. However, since it's getting close to Halloween, Peter doesn't really think much about it. Apparently, the rumour is that people have been seeing a living vampire out on the streets of New York at night, taking people as its prey and feeding on their blood. MJ laughs it off, saying it sounds like a bad horror film. Peter seconds that, but Flash, in particular, is adamant that it's real. He shows Peter and MJ a newspaper headline with a very low quality photo of a man who looks like he's wearing a cape. Peter tells Flash that it's just a guy wearing a cape, and Flash will tell Peter that he's naive. If a dude with spider powers can exist, then a New York vampire can too. Peter will chuckle it off as he returns to class. Professor Warren will walk into the classroom for their biology lesson, and he will tell the class that they have a special lecture today that will in fact be led by his brother and the new owner of ESU's laboratory section, Miles Warren. Miles will enter the class, and Peter will recognize him from the man that took over after Dr. Connors left. Peter will think to himself that he hasn't seen that place since Connors did in fact leave. Miles will go on to teach the class. He will teach a lesson in genetics, similar to what Dr. Connors specialized in. However, instead of being centered around regrowing limbs to help regenerating health, it will be about cloning. Cloning parts of the human body altogether to help people with cancer and other life-threatening diseases. He'll be sharp, calculated, and a lot firmer than his professor brother. Miles will instead be a teacher with a lot of discipline, and will almost execute the reason as to why he works in a laboratory and his brother does not. After the lesson, Peter will stay behind to talk to Miles. He will say that he likes what he's doing, and is happy that he's continuing Dr. Connors' work to some extent. After hearing from Dr. Connors during the summer break film, Peter says that he'd be happy to hear it. Miles says that he's simply exploring a direction that Connors never had the capability to do so. He also goes on to explain how he's very aware that Connors underutilized him and Gwen. Peter will ask how so, and how does he even know who they are? And Miles will explain that during his first few weeks at ESU, he checked some of the ESU records and found that the intelligence that they displayed was outstanding. If it wasn't for some important and very classified work that he got roped up in at the time, he would have contacted them and brought them back on board. Peter is outstanded by this. Miles Warren leaves, telling him to have a good day. MJ waits for Peter outside and asks what was that about. Peter tells her that he just got complimented by him. and Gwen as well. Apparently Miles looked into when they worked under Dr. Connors that one time. As they walk down the hallway, they all go on to talk about May's bill situation, and MJ loops it back around, telling Peter that he should go and ask Miles Warren for a job. Peter will go on to say that's a big commitment, since Spider-Man is a massive part of his life, and also the school stuff going on right now is really important, since finals are on the horizon. MJ will tell him that it could help with the school stuff, since he'll be studying in a lab, and you'll make enough money to keep May afloat as well. Peter says that you're right. And just before Peter goes to leave, MJ asks if they want to hang tonight, and Peter says of course, and she says that she'll be round at his at 7. We cut to later that day when Peter arrives near ESU, looking to see if he can get a job there. But just before he can reach the front door, he is eventually distracted when from above the ESU window climbs and screeches a wild, grey-looking man with a cape. Peter is caught off guard at first, as it jumps into the night. Peter thinks to himself that they can't be serious. He changes into his Spider-Man costume and chases after it. The living vampire is real, Peter will think to himself. He can't believe that Flash was right. Peter follows the vampire until he stumbles upon it, attempting to dig its teeth into someone's arm. Spider-Man will say that Halloween isn't for another week, what's going on? He webs up the vampire, but it breaks free, lashing out at Spider-Man. A fight between the two ensues, and Peter is struggling to get it off him. The fight rages on, and Peter is astoundingly outmatched. It's almost as if the vampire has Peter's skill set, or a very similar strength system. Everything Peter throws at it, it combats, and even throws back, kinda reminding him of Taskmaster ever so slightly. It's almost like this vampire is identical to Peter. During the fight, the vampire will manage to sink its teeth ever so slightly into Peter's leg. Peter, barely noticing it while being in combat, doesn't really pay much attention to it. However, after the fight is said and done, the vampire manages to escape into the night after beating Peter. But now that he knows it's real, the fight is well and truly on. Peter returns home that night, as MJ is waiting in his living room. She is with Aunt May having a hot drink. MJ asks how the talk went with Miles Warren, but Peter says that it was good, but MJ can sense that something's not right. They go up into Peter's room and he explains the situation. She notices blood seeping through his trousers on his calf. Peter lifts it up to see a tiny wound. MJ asks, did that thing bite him? And Peter says that he didn't think so. He needs to get that checked out, MJ will say, and Peter says that it's fine, super healing and that, playing it off as if it's nothing. MJ will say that, well, at least they can spend the night in, right? Then, right on time, Peter gets a notification about a crime about to go down in Queens. He says that he'll be right back, it's really close by, and MJ holds her head down, and Peter turns around and says he's sorry. MJ says that she gets it and just to go. She says that she probably should be spending time with her aunt anyway. Peter nods as he swings off into the night as MJ looks on. We then cut back to the vampire as we see the blood that he drew from Spider-Man. Spider-Man's blood genetically fuses with the vampire, and he grows and he grows. His back arches and crackles until he screeches out, a bigger monster than before. And with that, we cut to black. Thank you for watching Spectacular Spider-Man Season 5, Episode 2. If you did enjoy this episode, make sure to leave a like on this video. Comment down below what did you think. And also, make sure you tune in for Episode 3 coming later this week. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care, and peace.